You recently watched this past Super Bowl. Now, did any of you notice how accurate these quarterbacks were throwing the ball every time they threw it? Now, to me, that is really unfathomable to see consistently. Putting a ball exactly where it needs to be every single play. Now, I've been watching quarterbacks like these my whole entire life. And I've also been playing quarterback since I was 10 years old. And I'm still playing quarterback here today at Cal Poly. During this speech, I will be highlighting the fundamentals of throwing a football, mechanically, beginning with your base and working your way up through your arm and out your finger. After each step, I will then be demonstrating what this movement looks like. To start, it is important to have a balanced base, feet shoulder-width apart with a slight knee bend. In an article on proper throwing mechanics, Joe Montana is quoted saying, 70% of your weight should be in your back leg, whereas 30% of your weight should be in your front. Now, this is all determinant upon which dominant hand you have. So for me, I'm right-handed. My right leg will be my dominant leg in the back. So what it looks like, shoulder-width apart, balanced base, 70% of your weight in your back and 30% in your front. This ensures, with a strong base, that you are able to transfer momentum forward, and it is the first step in transferring the momentum up your body. Now, your core also needs to be tight while performing this movement. The throwing motion is one sound and fluid movement. Having your core tight as well as a strong base ensures that you can get the most velocity, power, and torque on the ball. When beginning your throw, you lift your lead foot up, which would be my left leg, and you point it in the direction that you are wanting to throw the ball, while simultaneously transitioning the weight from your 70% leg into your front leg. So how this looks, be like this, 70% of your weight in your back, balanced base, lifting your front foot, pointing it in the direction, and rotating your hips. Now, in an article, another article quoted from Proper Throwing Mechanics states that pointing your big toe at the exact location you're wanting to throw the ball ensures that the ball goes in that direction. Your hip should also rotate clear through, directing your entire torso at your target. So once again, step, rotate, bringing all that momentum up your body. Now let's move on to upper body mechanics. It is important to also make sure your front shoulder is directing at the target. So just like your front foot, your shoulder has to be in linear comparison to it, pointing at the direction that you're wanting to throw. As stated by Football University, the ball will go where your shoulder and toe points. Now the ball begins to move on an upper body standpoint with a windshield wiper type action. The ball moves back behind your head, and your front arm swings with your hips to help rotate and generate even more power and torque into your throw. These movements are all occurring while transitioning your weight to your front foot and rotating your hips. So it's realistically happening at the same time. Now how this would look, be 70% of your weight in your back with a balanced base, stepping and pushing onto your front foot and rotating. Rotating your hips, and that's bringing all that velocity up through your body, which leads me to this, actually throwing the football. After leading your front foot and placing it where you want to go, the movements of pushing your back leg are all happening simultaneously. The arm that isn't holding the ball rotates back while maintaining a 90-degree angle with your forearm and your bicep. If you don't have that 90-degree angle, your elbow can remain low and you will not be as accurate. So with quarterbacks, you have to really make sure that your mechanics are on point so that you can realistically get the ball exactly where it needs to be every time. Now to demonstrate this, this is the whole throwing motion at once. Now from the top, balanced base, slight knee bend, 70% of your weight in your back, 30% in your front. Pushing up onto your front foot, which is also in line with my shoulder, and pushing and rotating all at once. And then you are quite literally pointing your index finger at your target. So all together, step, point, rotate, index finger, and you drop your arm. To wrap everything up, this isn't a process that you're going to be able to get or even understand after hearing this speech. It is something that you will have to continuously work on to develop muscle memory so that it can become something like a second nature to you. Quarterbacks everywhere practice mechanics like these on a daily basis. And now I hope today that I've given you a little bit of insight on how it is that we do it. Thank you.
Okay, Connor, how How did that go?
It's a lot harder to read than it is to memorize. That's what you're going to say.
Can
I just felt like I wasn't really determinate on my paper, but
can't see them.
if in my mind I wasn't quite sure where I was going, I would peek down and I'd still find my place. But I think
Do you want
maybe
to
a PowerPoint in front of me would have been easier.